Hey, it's Grady at Twin Creek Audio, and today we're going to look at big, punchy drums and guitars in a hybrid rock mix. I'm going to mix the song Uninvited from the Completists debut album In Some April Dusk in the hybrid fashion with my audio interfaces feeding the tape inputs on my Soundcraft Sapphyre recording console. It's a punchy, big sounding rock mix. It's pretty simple the way that I'm doing it. Of course, I have pretty good sounds on the drums and guitars to begin with. These are real live acoustic drums, only 8 mics on the kit, kick mic, snare, tom mics, so everything's closed mic, a hi-hat mic, and a pair of overheads that were actually in, I think, modified XY for these overheads. So kick, snare, stereo toms, there's our modified XY overheads, a room mic, which actually sounds really cool, gives some nice ambience to the drums. Not using any artificial reverb on the drum kit. Well, let's hear these drums, and then I will talk about what all I'm doing to get this drum sound. We have a gigantic kick drum sound. A lot of that is a fast release using the LA Audio 4x4 FET compressor, but I'm also running the kick drum through the Louder Than Liftoff Royal Blue color module. So I have the color module on the insert of the console on the kick drum track, 1, obviously, down here, channel 1, duh. So it's hitting the color module first and then the LA Audio 4x4 FET compressor. So I've got a pretty fast attack on this kick drum actually, because it's a really punchy kick sound to begin with, and then a medium fast release. So we get that exploding kick drum sound, that blossoming when the compressor lets go. So it makes it just huge. The snare drum, I'm using the Symetrix 501 compressor limiter, which is one of my favorite compressors for a snare drum. I'm going to play the kick and the snare. The kick obviously going through the color module, the Royal Blue color module, and the snare through the 501. So I've set up some parallel compression on the toms because there's one section in the song where the toms play and I really want the toms to dominate. I want those toms to have a nice long decay and sound really big and punchy at the same time. So to do that, I've set up some parallel compression here. These small faders are normally the channel faders, but with these XFX buttons on the console, I've now turned these into like a post-fader aux send. But instead of sending to an aux send, I'm sending to a pair of subgroups, in this case subgroup 1 and 2, which are over here on these two faders. On the subgroups, I have the one of my two ART TCS Twin Compressor systems. I have it in the percussion VCA mode. I've tuned it to have a fairly short release so that I can lengthen the decay of those toms and bring them up in the mix. There are a few reasons you want to use compression on drums in a mix. And I'm using parallel compression in this case because I want to increase the body of the toms and the punch and their presence in the mix. So I'm using parallel compression with the ART TCS Twin Compressor system on the percussion VCA setting. And I have it stereo linked on the inserts, but I also have these subgroups gated up here with the gates on the console. Now I've got a fairly long release on those gates so that the toms have plenty of time to decay and it sounds really good. I also am able to EQ the subgroups on this console. So I've EQ'd a little bit of low mids out of those toms and added a little bit of lows and highs to the toms submix, or rather just the parallel compression. So I'm adding a little bit of EQ to the parallel compression here on the subgroups, as well as gating those parallel toms, the parallel compressed toms, whatever you want to call it. So let me find that section of the song so you can hear what that sounds like with and without the parallel compression. I'm going to start out playing that section with the parallel compression on the tom so you can hear what the result is first, and then I'll pull these faders down so you can hear it without.
You wind me up, spin me around when given the chance. So just get out of the way, so I can finally see. You wind me up, spin me around when given the chance. So just get out of the way, so I can. You wind me up, spin me around when given the chance. So just get out of the way, so I can finally see.
And that brings us to the guitar solo. And the other part of what I wanted to talk about in this video is guitars. So the guitar solo, I've got a touch of EQ on that, bringing up a little bit, I guess it's around 1K, and a little bit of 12K, and then boosting a little bit of low mids. But I'm also running this through a Louder Than Liftoff Royal Blue color module. I'm really driving that color module really hard with this lead guitar track. So I have the input of that cranked, and then the output coming back to the insert on the console turned down a bit. So we're really getting some transformer grit and saturation out of that color module. Then with our touch of EQ, we have a great sound for that solo. There's no compression on this or any of the guitars in this mix. This main rhythm guitar track is just two different mics on the same cabinet. It's a 421 here, which is panned harder to the right, and then an SM57, which is panned slightly to the left. Let me solo these main rhythm guitars so you can hear what I'm talking about. Even though that's the same amp and the same performance, the two different mics panned slightly, you get a nice sense of width to that guitar. Makes it sound huge. Now we come to the lead guitar towards the end of the song, and that's got the Louder Than Liftoff Royal Blue color module on the insert of this. There's no compression or anything on this lead guitar, a touch of high shelving 12K EQ, a little bit of 3 kilohertz, and a little bit of low mids being added to that, as well as just really cranking the input to that color module and backing off the output. So let's hear that guitar solo section.
So I can finally see.
Really nice lead guitar sound, and it's really simple. There's not really a lot of tracks here, and it still sounds really awesome and big. I like it when I can do that and I don't have to pull low end out of everything, because there's not just tons of overdriven, distorted guitars in the mix. Sometimes it can sound larger that way. There's a cool acoustic guitar track in that same middle section with those awesome tom fills. I'm going to play that back. The only thing I'm really doing to this acoustic, there's not even any console EQ on the acoustic. There is a tape plugin in the box. It's the Slate virtual tape machine. I'll show you the settings for that plugin. That's all that's going on with this acoustic guitar. Other than, having a mic on it in a particular room, the mic was probably, I don't know, 8 inches from the acoustic. Was going for a little bit of ambience with the mic. So let's hear what that sounds like. It's a nice sounding acoustic guitar track, and it blends really well with the rest of the mix during that section. That's a 1977 Alvarez, which is a triple O size acoustic guitar. And I think I had that mic'd with an Electro Voice Raven, which is a large diaphragm dynamic mic. So that's what you're hearing, and it was pulled back from the guitar to avoid boominess, and we have a little bit of the room sound, which was a room with wood floors. So we've got some of that natural ambience on the acoustic, and then of course we're driving the Slate VTM tape plug-in with that acoustic guitar before it comes to the console. I'm going to have a series of videos coming up on the channel on techniques for hybrid mixing, like a lot of the things that I've already presented in a lot of my mixing videos, but I'm going to break it down a little bit more and show just one thing at a time. So stay tuned for that, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. I'm not going to concentrate on the vocal tracks just a whole lot, but I will let you know that I have the other ART TCS Twin Compressor system compressor on those vocals. So during the final mix, when you hear everything together, you at least have some idea about the other elements of the mix that I didn't talk about as much in this video while we were concentrating on guitars and drums. So let's check out what we've got in the final mix of this.
Every time you try to take me down, accomplish nothing, get in my way. Nothing better than the truth, at least I thought so. You're not invited anymore. You're not invited. So just get out of the way, so I can finally see.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that and got something out of it. I hope that you'll take the time to like this video, as well as subscribing to the Twin Creek Audio YouTube channel if you've not done so already. I appreciate all the new subscribers out there. Appreciate everyone watching. I hope that you all have an excellent and wonderful day, night, evening, weekend, weekday, hour, minute, second, nanosecond. Whatever it is you're having, have a good one. Thanks for watching.